Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Adobe Live. How's it going?
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Everything is fine. It's not like we just were running into technical difficulties. Everything, it's all good.
It's live. We're doing it live.
The high pitch of my voice means everything's fine.
The more we say fine, the more it is fine.
Absolutely.
Actually, yeah.
Just type in chat, fine. Everything is fine. My name's Howard Pinsky, and I'm sitting down today with Alexis Bustos. Did I get that right?
That is so right. You did great. You
probably didn't have the accent right, but
Bustos.
I tried. There you go. How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. I'm excited to be here.
Now you've been here before.
Yeah,
but you've been over here.
It's I'm not gonna lie to you. It's weird.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in the wrong chair. Like, what am I doing?
I mean, we can switch if you want.
We'll just do like a, musical chairs at one point.
So you've been a host before on Adobe Live.
I have been a host,
and now you're in the guest seat.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it feels right.
See, everything's fine. Paco's just reaching in here,
Paco.
fixing things.
Thanks, Paco.
Thank you, Paco. Paco makes everything fine.
Oh man, this is going great.
Yeah, no need to panic. Thank you, Zombie Army 807. When the zombies attack, everything will be fine as well.
Yes. I'm not gonna lie to you. If I end up, I feel like I may say some hosty things. I may go straight host on stream. It might happen.
It's fine. I can say some guesty things.
Oh, excellent.
We'll run with it. We'll see what happens.
Oh, I love that.
Suyog says, say dark mode is coming, and I'd say everything will be fine. Oh, dark mode. That didn't take very long. That was what, 3 minutes?
That was at least 3 minutes, barely.
Yeah,
okay.
So we're back. We were here yesterday with Andrea Hawk, who you may have just seen do the Daily Creative Challenge. In about half an hour, we're going to be doing Chat and Win, where one of you will win 100 free stickers. You can write "This is fine" in all your free stickers. And then we're going to be doing Daily Challenge reviews about half an hour before the stream ends. So if you are participating in yesterday's or today's challenge, hit the challenge tab at the top right-hand corner of Behance. Submit your challenge in Discord in the current Daily Challenge server or channel. Submit in there, and we'll take a look in a little bit. But yeah, today's all about good stuff. Nonprofit, women empowerment.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah,
Ooh.
So do your spiel. Who are you, and what are you going to be tackling today?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go for it.
I can do this. We can do this.
That's the motto for today. Everything is fine.
Hi guys, I'm Alexis Bustos. You may recognize me from sitting over in Howard's seat. And I'm sure a lot of you, actually I've seen a lot of this in the comment. Who is she? Who are you, Alexis? Who is she? Does she even go here? I don't even go here. I actually am not a designer at Adobe. I think a lot of people actually are speculating where I am and where I'm from.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day, who knows? My name's Alexis Bustos. I am a user experience designer. I like to say the full title. I'm also a user researcher, and I like to call myself an immersive creator.
Oh, that's fancy.
Yeah, I think that's a big one for me. There's my Twitter handle if you guys want to check me out or, follow my tweets.
There it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited to get started. So those are kind of my names. A name by any other name. It's just a word. Designer. We're all just designers.
Indeed.
These names are going to change constantly.
Oh gosh, yes.
Throughout our careers.
There's UI, there's UX, there's
Yep.
I think I heard something about VX the other day. I've never heard of that before.
UXR is user experience researcher. So it's
boy.
like, dude, I don't know what my name is anymore. But these are the three that I hold to right now. And I'll tell you a little bit more why. So before we get started, I would like to show some things that spark joy. And in the comment, tell me what things spark joy. It might be a little late for Marie Kondoing, but I still like to say that. I like to make things out of wood.
That's fancy.
I like all the playlists. Follow me on Spotify, please, if you want a good playlist. I literally make one for every single vibe I can feel.
Oh my gosh.
I like small amounts of liquid in tiny cups.
Oh.
Yeah. Just
Are we talking coffee or other things?
All the things.
Okay.
I love it. Coffee. My favorite, if anyone wants to get me coffee, favorite's a cortado. Tiny amount of liquid.
All right.
And I like to travel with my new wife.
There you go.
Shout out.
Nice.
That's us in Portugal.
Portugal? I was about to ask.
Yeah. So
Sweet.
these are all things I like to I like to, whenever I start anything, talk about what things bring you joy and happiness, what recharges you. We've gotten to a lot of discussions and other chats, actually with other guests around like, why why they're so like tired and what can really refuel that creative energy. And these are some of the things that do it for me. I woodwork, I drink a lot of coffee, listen to a lot of music, and I travel.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is so important. Maybe not these things in specific, but just like finding things that spark joy, because I hear so often that I'm burnt out. I've hit a creative block. I don't know what to do. And a lot of times it's because you're just so focused on your work.
Yeah.
You sit in front of your computer at 8 o'clock in the morning until like 5 o'clock at night, staring at your monitor.
Later.
Yeah,
I mean, how many designers, how many people do we know that are just like, can keep going and will never stop until they really have to?
Yeah, and we run into this all the time, and it's because our brain is being so accustomed to whatever it is we're designing, and we can't really get that fresh start. So even sometimes like walking away for 15 minutes, I can't tell you how many times I've just gotten up, walked to the kitchen, grabbed some water, maybe spoken to my wife or my daughter, whatever it might be, come back and I think, what the heck was I designing?
Like,
that is ugly.
What is this? Yeah.
Because your mind is kind of, getting a fresh start because your brain was so accustomed to it. Yeah. And if you really, you still can't get it going, do things that spark joy.
Yeah.
Even if it's still within the realm of what you're doing, if you want to design something completely, like let's say a few weeks ago or a few months ago, I hit a roadblock. And I'm big into Pokemon Go. So I sat down, I just redesigned an experience of that app just to kind of get my creative juices flowing. Mm-hmm. And then, I was back in business.
I just think it's one of those things, as designers, we're creatives.
Yeah.
And any creative, any type of capacity, whether you're making furniture, whether you're painting, you put so much of yourself in your work.
Yeah.
And so a way to de-stress and walk away from things is so important to your process. So
totally.
So
Lindsay,
chat, what's everyone's spark joy moments?
Lindsay has it right.
Oh, your
my boobs. Thank you, Lindsay. And I saw
Those
Sam up there saying components and states brings me joy.
I mean, any type of streamlining to the workflow is always going to bring me joy.
Yeah.
Shout out XD. Thank you for making that happen.
Indeed.
That's awesome. So everyone just keep talking about your joy moments while I continue on. So I'm going to give you a little bit of my timeline of who I am, how I got here. I, like many of you, started in a different space completely. I started as a photographer. That's actually my very first camera. I shot in film, and started teaching myself Photoshop with a maybe not so legally obtained Photoshop back in 2006.
I cannot comment on that.
I can. All I know is that it was a big part of my experience becoming a creative, and it was huge.
I started teaching Photoshop in 2006.
I actually have a friend of mine who the whole reason he got into design were your videos on Photoshop.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, actually, he's here in my, he's in my slide. We'll get to it in a second. Yeah,
is that Sam?
It is Sam Anderson.
Oh yes, we might have dinner tonight actually.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I love that. So I got started as a photographer and a graphic designer, working strictly like in post. I decided photography wasn't going to be my main bread and butter. I love it so much still. And then from then on, I kind of went on and started labeling myself as a designer, as a graphic designer, working in different startups down in San Jose. And I put on here vibe creator. I think a big part of what made me an UX designer was actually because I was working as a graphic designer and doing UX work without knowing it.
Yeah.
What I really started paying attention to as I was redesigning websites and making signs weren't necessarily the designs themselves, but were the people. So if you see there's a photo of a band playing, that's actually my band.
Ooh.
Plug.
You just do everything, don't you?
I do.
Okay, plug your band.
Plug band. Subpar.
Okay, good. Go find that on Spotify.
Yeah.
Go find it on Spotify.
I'm not sure. We'll check.
Okay.
We'll double back to that.
Find it somewhere.
Yeah.
SoundCloud?
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Do that.
We'll do Instagram. So if you look, there's a band. What I look at primarily when I see this image and what I think I bring into my design process is I don't look at the band, I'm looking at the people on the ground. What experience are they having? These people are having either the best night of their lives or the worst. I don't know, but I want to know and I want to create their experiences and foster and design their experiences for them. Which brings me into same time, same realm. I'm just a graphic designer, photographer. 2008 rolls around, and these hope posters start popping up. If everyone remembers Obama's election, and it was a big catalyst for me to look into design as doing something good. And so that, and with all of my with all of my activist traits and all of my designy knowledge, I started working towards a degree in interaction design. So I switched careers a bit, barely. I mean, we're all in the same field, really. And I got my a bachelor's in interaction design.
Nice.
So a lot of people can call me an interaction designer, too. The school, isn't even the most important part. I think what came out of that experience were the people I met there. That's my crew. They're your family. Anybody who's still in school right now, that's going to be the most important thing you take from school, easily, bar none. Yep. Sam Anderson's in that photo with me, and so is Joanne Lee, so is Kylan Swan, so is Tor Camerlinga. 3 of these people have worked at Adobe before. 1 still does. 2 have been featured on the streams. It's one of those things.
It's a small world.
It's a small world, and whatever you can do to create your community is most important.
Yeah, and Sam's the best. I don't know the other people, but Sam's the best.
They're all the best. Sam's up there, though. He's one of the best for sure. Okay, so where that brings me now. Obviously, I'm a human-centered designer. That's what it says right below me, or above me. And I'm currently actually working at a company called STAR. We are a team of global strategists, designers, and engineers looking to really create impactful technology. And when I say global, I mean global. STAR is offices here in San Francisco, all the way in Kiev, Copenhagen, all the way, I think, out to maybe even Japan.
Wow.
So truly, I like to call myself a global UX designer at this point. And so seeing how different designs and people interact fascinate me, and I'm glad to be there right now. Shout out to Star.
Totally.
Yep. And thanks for letting me come here today. They're the best.
Are they watching?
They should be watching. I think a couple are watching.
Hi, Star people.
Hi, Star people. You guys are the best.
Do you have like clever names for the people that are in
no, but we are
shooting
gonna
stars or something?
Oof, you guys, take that note. Take that note.
Put something in the chat if you have a clever name for people who work at Star.
Yeah.
They might hate us after this.
Oh, who knows? Yeah, and so from that on, I'm also here at Adobe Live hosting every now and then. Shout out to Colby Kleitz, Keisha White, Chris Fan, Osama Ghazal, Joanne Lee. These are all the people I've hosted for, and they're the best.
They're so good.
They're so
There's
best.
some good designers on here.
There are some great designers on here.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'm taking the role of the host right now. I'm forgetting I'm the designer right
That's
now.
okay.
And then we have Tides, which is an organization that we're going to redesign for in this stream. So without further ado, let's get started with it. The last thing I kind of wanted to leave at was, this is kind of my ethos. I have it up on my website. I want to always be finding the connections between human behavior and technology and highlighting the social implications arising from the two. Highlighting good, bad, highlighting also could mean just designing. It's one of those things that kind of drives me. I think as a designer, you need to have what you believe in order to inform your design. So that's mine.
So Sam says they should be called stars.
So clever, Sam. So clever. I love it.
Well done, Sam.
Shout out to the chat. Hello, everyone. I challenge people to make Comic Sans prototype.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that it's still the joke.
I know.
It's
Comic
always going to be
Sans,
the joke of all the
Papyrus.
designers. Yeah. I love it. So
And if anyone has questions for Alexis throughout this whole process, throw them in the chat and I'll ask you.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They're appropriate.
Come on, chat. You can talk to me. We're friends. We've talked before. So what are we doing today? We are going to be redesigning a nonprofit's UX. And so what I mean by that is not necessarily just their landing page. We're going to go through all of their different assets. We're going to do like kind of a sweeping audit of what they have and see how their user experience can be improved, changed in any way, in any capacity. And so it's a little bit different when we're designing for a nonprofit. I actually picked a nonprofit because I really keep seeing a lot of newer designers in the chat asking really great questions about how you get started and how you work as a freelancer. And a lot of the projects that I started with were these type of nonprofit projects, places that didn't know they needed help, but
Let's talk about that for a minute
Yeah.
because I do see that as well. A lot of people jump in here. I want to design for Nike or I want to design for whoever these big companies, these big brands, but they're kind of just getting started. So, what's the process look like if you're just getting started and you really want to start making impact, build up a portfolio of real world designs?
Yes.
It sounds like nonprofit might be a good way to go.
I think it's an underutilized resource that needs the most help it can get, especially it's all about bringing people, democratizing what the internet stands for.
Yeah.
Really, like getting people into the space, easy access to them, giving them easy access to people that want to support them and want to help them. And how can you do that? A lot of nonprofits, a lot of mom and pop type businesses are kind of left in the dust a lot of the time.
Yeah.
There are a lot of great tools and services that help them do it. Don't get me wrong, there's so many great like website building sites, WYSIWYG sites that help these people, but we as UX designers know it's more than just a website.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing today. I hope
Nice.
that wasn't too like heady.
No, that's good.
Cool. So the organization is called Tides SF. It's called Tides, but I'm calling it Tides SF. It's basically a quarterly event. It welcomes a different lineup of female-identifying humans to perform, collaborate, buy, and sell the art. Sell their art in the form of community, and all proceeds go to different nonprofit groups. So it's a nonprofit helping other nonprofits. Could they be doing more good things? I don't
Nice.
know.
It's like nonprofitception.
I just don't know if they could be doing more good things.
No.
It's ridiculous.
I like that.
So that's what we're doing. Day one, we're gonna look at the problem statement. We're gonna do some research. I think the research part is kind of is gonna be really fun. We're gonna check out their stakeholders. We're gonna do some sketches, some wireframes. You know the gist. Hey,
Yep.
Osama.
Osama's in the
What's
house.
up, dude? And then day two, we're gonna do a little bit of branding, a little bit of collaborating, some prototyping, and maybe look into how you're gonna present this to people. So, we're not starting from scratch
Right.
in any capacity. These people exist. They already have people who support them. They already have a community on Instagram following them, a community of people that work with them. Assets already
They've got
to their
great
names.
illustrations.
Great illustrations. We'll do a shout out to the illustrator as much as we can. And so at the end of the day, like, how do you work with something that already exists? So that's a little bit what we're going to talk about.
Nice. And Suyog has a question. It's an interesting question.
Yeah.
He finds a lot of jobs in India for UI need Photoshop as a skill, but not XD. But Photoshop is not made for UI. What should he do?
Okay.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
I used to use Photoshop for my UI and UX projects all the time.
All the time.
So it's certainly possible. It's not as, of course, it's not built for UI and UX. You can do it. It has artboards and things like that. But, I think you should really start asking why Photoshop, right?
Yeah.
Do they need Photoshop for a specific reason? Is it because they have easy access to the assets? And if that's the case, within XD, you can export, mark things for export, save things as developer specs. So they have access to all those assets. They have access to everything they possibly need to get really started, even CSS now.
Yeah, I think it comes down to it's a tool, right? Photoshop's a tool, XD is a tool, any, pick a pen and paper is a tool.
Yep.
Whatever your business organization that you're working with uses the most, that's what you should use.
Yeah.
That you should use. Is it impossible to do UI on Photoshop? Absolutely not. It's totally like where most people have gotten their start with designing,
A
period.
lot of people still do it.
A lot of people still do it. Illustrator, people do it in Illustrator. There's so many places to do this. XD just streamlines it so it's easier and faster.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk about that too.
And Sophie's asking about your baby picture.
This is a baby photo of me because I tuned into yesterday's stream and Howard made a request that all guests should have baby photos and I listened.
There you go. I'm 1 for 1 so far.
Yes, so shout out to all the future guests. Ball's in your court.
Yeah, you can't come on the show unless you have a baby picture.
This is the one everyone loves. So, oh, there it is. So, bunny. All right, cool. Let's do it.
People were asking if, and it looks like the answer is no, if you created your slides in XD, but it kind of
I didn't.
It kind of goes back to what you were just talking about. Is use the tool that you're most comfortable in.
Yes.
Of course, I use XD for all my slides and presentations. I'm actually working on a video course that kind of goes through that process. You may have seen some tweets lately where I'm kind of teasing things.
I saw that.
Yeah, but you make all your presentations in PowerPoint. You have been for a while.
I have, yeah. I've definitely done presentations in XD as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was kind of a nice way to pull out of XD because of what I needed to do in XD.
Yeah.
Right? So it's all about compartmentalizing what you need to do. So I wanted to hone in on who I was a little bit, do more of an overview vibe. I can do that faster only because I know it better in
Right.
Photoshop. Versus being in the same space as all of my other things and not being able to kind of zoom out on a different subject matter.
Totally.
Otherwise, I would do it in XD. I've done it in XD though. It's super easy. And I have seen saw your teaser tweet about that.
And it's
cool.
really cool that you can create master slides with different states as like versions.
It's gonna be cool to see how you animate through all that. I think that's the one thing I need a little bit more attention to.
Yeah. Well, with auto animate, you can go between artboards. You can also do that now with states. So you can animate between states. And of course, more triggers are coming
Yeah.
to states. Excuse me. So you'll be able to use keyboard triggers eventually, drag triggers, all the different triggers. So it's really going to give you complete control over your presentations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that because I've definitely done presentations with XD and it's fun. It's easy. You can move around easily. It's just because I knew it a little bit better.
Of course.
Yeah. Cool, guys. Presentations. Has anyone done that in the chat? Have you guys done this yet?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to find out.
It's a pretty interesting area. I used to work at a couple nonprofits, near and dear to my heart. It is a hard to start for any design project. Audit the current UX. So again, we're designing for something that exists already. What do they have? What are they? Who are they? What do they have?
Yep.
So we know that the project name's Tides. We know that the goal is to recreate a more trustworthy professional appearance to activate potential supporters, creatives, volunteers. Right? Some stakeholders, some things that we really want. We want opportunities to support. We want to give people the opportunity to support this nonprofit. We want to give them longevity online. And we want it to be easy to engage with them.
All very important.
All important.
Yeah.
I got there. So those are kind of my initial thoughts. I got there because I did a little more deep diving into this nonprofit.
Yeah. And a lot of times engagement, even if you can't directly support a nonprofit, being engaged, using hashtags, tweeting, whatever it might be, is just as important.
Absolutely.
Because it gets the message out there.
Absolutely. Engagement is so many different variations. There's so many different variations of engagement. Yeah. So Tides is cool. Tides is a cool event. Like I said before in the screens, they are female identifying humans performing, collaborating, buying and selling their art with each other to form a community. And this is what I've gone to a couple of these events. They're really fun. There's a lot of art. There's a lot of beautiful artists and designers.
Nice.
There's some awesome bands. There's female-fronted bands, all with the desire to just help prop each other up.
Love it.
Great. So Tides is doing some good work. Where do they exist already? So here is a website that they have up right now. Hopefully by the end of tomorrow, we'll talk a little bit about how you change a nonprofit's go about changing without having nothing online for these people, for whoever you're helping. So this is up right now, and hopefully by tomorrow they'll have a new one. This is their Instagram, and that's basically what they got, as well as community engagement in the form of talking to each other and people hearing word of mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what exists for Tide. They also have some amazing illustrations. Shout out, Sarah.
These are really cool.
These are awesome illustrations. We have the best case scenario here. We have great assets, a great cause, and community support already behind it.
Yeah, and with these amazing illustrations, you can definitely pull some of those colors, you can pull some of the style.
Oh, absolutely.
And apply that to the website, apply it to the Instagram account. When you're doing these branding exercises for nonprofits or even, profitable companies, do you ever kind of also tackle the social experience as well? Because I find that, especially when you're talking about engagement, being able to have a good message and good voice on social is sometimes incredibly important.
Absolutely. You mean like tone? Are you speaking
tone,
primarily around tone?
imagery, a lot of different things.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things that straddles marketing, right? And so they've been doing this tone and voice for years, right? And working with what the general public needs to know or wants to know, understands already about your subject matter, right? We know that for fintech, There's a certain color palette people go to. For healthcare, there's a certain color palette. There are all these things already established in our brains. And it's one of those things that we as UX designers get to kind of dip our toes in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of UX writing that's involved with experiential work. So it's nice when they have something already for you, but dude, it's so fun. Like I think UX writing is some of the most interesting stuff out there.
Totally.
But yeah, I want to answer this question if it's been up.
Is it Andre's question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he says, do you think Adobe XD will slowly replace front-end developing? Will back-end developers be able to just code from XD and always discuss the question, should UX designers code? That's a very heavy loaded question. So
Sure is.
from the product side, of course I can't speak too much about what our roadmap looks like, but of course we hear this a lot. We hear, I want to be able to turn my design into a website, or I want to be able to turn my design into a functioning mobile app. And of course, as a designer, it sounds easy, but it's very difficult to do that properly. So the team is aware of that, aware of a lot of the requests, and definitely go to user voice to make those requests and upvote those feature requests. But I think there will definitely be some explorations and some additional features that help with that. I don't know if we'll see anytime soon, you can just press a button and you'll have a website. Because again, very difficult to do.
Yeah.
But maybe go ahead and tackle the, should UX designers code? Because I've definitely talked about this a little bit
This is a good question.
As a host, but yeah, go for it.
Wow. I think as a person, as a human, it's always good to know your boundaries and limits with what you can do. Having said that, there are some UX designers that are their minds are more like engineers. They are more of a UI type mind, right? They can get into the nitty gritty, and maybe coding would come second nature to them. And there are some UX designers that come from design backgrounds, creative backgrounds, and coding actually sounds like the worst thing in the world to them.
Right.
And nowadays, I don't think it's necessary to need to know that to work as a UX designer. But I believe in pushing yourself, And if it's something, I think at the end of the day, it's always good to know new skills. I think it's a part of the toolkit is to always be adjusting for what's new in the industry. XD is, learn XD, learn some others. But no, it's not necessary. Oh, chat and win.
Fireworks.
Wow.
Yeah. So
win
we're going to
question.
take a very quick break. Maybe the question will be, should UI and UX designers know how to code?
Ooh.
Throw that answer in the chat, and we'll be back in a moment. And we're back. So Lindsay says yes. I like Tim's answer. He says, yes, but in my opinion, you don't have to know if you're a designer. And that's kind of, where I'm usually lying. Of course, it depends on the situation, right? If you're just a freelancer and you want to code, you want to kind of do the whole process from start to finish, then it might help, right?
Yes.
But I've always kind of been in the ballpark of, it's always good to know what your engineers are going through.
Yes.
Because as a designer,
Yes.
the last thing you want is to build out this very elaborate prototype that's full of animations, full of hover effects, full of crazy stuff. And you give it to your engineer and they're like, yeah, this is not gonna happen. This is too
They're
much.
like, where did you make this?
Yeah.
And you were like, Photoshop.
Yeah.
Oh, David.
Hey.
Hello. Congrats.
Yeah, so you just won 100 stickers from Sticker Mule.
Nice.
Yeah, someone from Behance will get in touch with you very shortly. And if you did not win, you go to stickermule.com/Adobe Live 19. You get 10 stickers for $1, which is good.
That's great.
Pretty good.
Love a good sticker.
Yeah.
Nice. Good
Yeah.
job, guys. Yeah, I believe, I agree. I agree 100%. So that's kind of where I'm at. I want to know what I'm handing off. I want to know the feasibility of something. I like to know if something can be real. I like tangible things. So I'm not going to design the craziest thing, because if it doesn't work, who's going to use it?
Right,
It has to
exactly.
be built.
Yeah.
So
And we're all kind of guilty of that. We live
Absolutely.
in a Dribbble world.
Oh my
where
gosh.
everything you post there, I'm totally guilty of this. Everything I post to Dribbble is just over the top and elaborate and it looks fancy. But in reality, is it going to be coded? Unless you're working with a really amazing engineering team?
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, you can do a lot with like Swift UI these days.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of really cool stuff in animation, but
And there's so much you can do for the art of it. There's so many beautiful apps that just exist. There's so
Yeah.
many beautiful websites that just exist, but we're also talking in terms of scaling.
yeah.
Yeah.
What was the,
Sometimes you
I
can't do
use
something
Elevate.
super
Do you know
beautiful.
Elevate? It's like a,
I do know Elevate.
Yeah, it's like a
I
brain
actually
puzzle.
worked underneath them at
Really?
my last startup. We had shared the same office. Shout out to
Nice.
Elevate. Those guys
Yeah.
are great.
Great service. Their application is full of really elaborate animations. So those types of things can be done, but you need to know what your engineering team is capable of, because it's possible they don't know how to create those things. And it's not as easy as just making it in XD or any other application, just exporting it, right? So yeah, definitely get to know your engineers, know what they're capable of, and always work side by side if you can.
Yes. Michael, exactly. Know your limits.
Yes.
Exactly. You know, it's is it a necessity? No.
Probably not.
I don't think so. I don't think so, but it's good to know.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it at that. Cool. Great talk, guys.
Always fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love when we get really deep with like a comment. I love it. It's
Yeah.
my favorite. And the chat gets all like deep as well. And then our minds are blown when we walk away from this. Like, what just happened? So
Then we go back to Twitter and fight about it some more.
yes, excellent. All right, so we audited the current UX, the current experience that this organization has, looked through them, their mission statements, what they have already, and then we understand the space and do some deeper research. So my roots are in research. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I have some very tiny amount of numbers. I know, don't be scared by numbers, designers. But these are some general research things I found about women in music, women in art, women in the nonprofit space. Maybe some of this information will inform my design, maybe it won't, but it's just, I want to immerse myself completely in the research.
Yeah, it's always good to have.
It's always good to have. And then we go into the goals. You know, some of the things I've talked about with actual Tides members, you know, what are some things you want for this organization? What are some, you know, nice to haves? We talked a little bit about that. And I even put a nitty-gritty up. I might like share this on something. So this is pretty great. This kind of goes in, this is something I used to refer to when I used to work in a nonprofit before I did any UX, was like, what do donors want? How do you keep your community engaged? It's a lot of words, we won't get into it. The big takeaway is we need a couple different things. And so I started sketching.
Yay, scrappy sketches.
So scrappy. So scrappy. The scrappiest. I believe in the scrappiest of sketches.
Absolutely.
If your sketches are nice, I'm a little angry at you. If your sketches look beautiful, it's like those aren't your first sketches.
No.
Those are your fifth sketches, and you're on a prototyping phase right now.
Yeah. I'm not trying to impress anybody by your sketches.
Absolutely.
Just trying to get your ideas on paper.
Exactly.
A napkin maybe. A desk. I don't know what. A whiteboard.
Oh, a napkin. Me and Sam used to sketch on napkins. We used to like get lunch, and we have a napkin, maybe 3 napkins somewhere that informed our senior thesis.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nice.
It's like we just have like scribbles.
Yeah. Or the back of a ramen cup.
Exactly.
Done that a lot in college.
Oh man, I love it. Right. So basically, we're going to need a landing page.
Yep.
And what I want to do is introduce each one of these communities, these nonprofit groups, these artists, these, what else? Bands, these musicians. I want to introduce them to the community while also informing about what this organization does. We're going to do that with the landing page. All right. So I got started because how can you not get started?
Of course.
Some really basic, we have a header, we have an about. Obviously, these are just filler words at this point. Maybe I don't want bands to be up here. This is another thing to talk about. What goes up at the top? What do you put at the top of, what do you find necessary to keep at the top of a page?
I try not to put a lot. Like on the Let's XD website that I built, it's like the high level stuff.
Yeah.
There's a learn tab.
Yeah.
There's a tab for teams. Because it's a lot of the stuff that I can't really weave into the bottom of the content, or that needs a separate page.
It needs a separate page.
Yeah.
It's easy to go overboard. And for nonprofit groups, they go overboard because they want to highlight so much information about themselves.
Right.
So we're going to go do the opposite for this organization. We're going to make it an experience. We're going to have fun. So here's where I think the organization name can live. Maybe some actual illustrations. We're gonna see, what this could live as. But basically, a small tagline, their mission statement, and a call to action. What that call to action is, we're still kind of working through that with these wireframes.
And sometimes that kind of comes as you start building things out. Everything kind of fits nicely, but you're missing one or two pieces. But as you start building everything around it, it becomes very apparent that, oh, that's the piece I'm missing. It just makes sense.
I remember working with a client once, and once they saw what their site could look like, it's almost like they couldn't fathom it because nobody had given them that attention. Once they saw it, they're like, well, we should do this. We should hold events, or we should have a donate button. We should have an account for. I was like, of course you should have a donate button. By the way, I already put it in your wireframes. So here's a place where maybe this organization can have a donate button, maybe a join. We're gonna see, and we're gonna work with them in the next couple of hours, and maybe tomorrow we'll go over it. The best part about this is that this organization exists. I think some of the organization is watching, might be in the chat, and so I'm gonna get direct feedback tonight over what they think. It's
super cool.
It's really cool how we're using this platform.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna see. So tune in tomorrow and see what happens.
And how much feedback is coming? I mean, maybe you haven't had this talk yet.
Yeah.
Words are hard.
Yeah.
But how much is coming from their end and how much is coming from your end? So do you do they come to you with a list and say, we need a donate button, we need this and this? Or do you kind of approach them and say, I think you probably need this, and then you go back and forth and figure things out?
I think for the most part, nonprofit groups have a goal that they want to achieve.
Okay.
For Tides, they're a little bit more new. Very new, actually. So let's take the last nonprofit I worked for. They were it was called Our City Forest, ourcityforest.org. Go look it up. I built it with Squarespace back in the day.
Yeah.
Basically, what they needed to do was they needed volunteers, and they needed donations, and they needed a way to disperse information about, because they worked directly with the city. They were a tree planting nonprofit. So those were their goals. For Tides, it's a little bit more, we're not sure. So we're working directly with them to learn what their experience is gonna be, which is exciting. So a little, in this case, this is coming more from me and what I understand they need, what I think they need based on my research and what I've experienced with them.
And of course, you'll go back and forth until things feel right.
Yeah. Samuel asked, do you use any website builders? I do for some people. Obviously, if you have a team of engineers, you're golden. And I've worked with those as well. But if you're doing work for nonprofits who don't have a very big budget and you are the sole UX designer, you're gonna need some help.
Yeah.
Webflow is a great site if you want to get into more of the nitty-gritty code. Squarespace is an easy backend for a nonprofit group that might need to go in and change things on them by themselves. That's actually an enormous issue. A lot of the times these websites get built and they get left. A lot of these designers will go in, change an experience for some people and kind of leave it.
Yeah.
And then these nonprofit groups don't know how to change it, which makes sense. They're working on making the world a better place. I'm going to be using ReadyMag for this to give myself a little bit more creative freedom. So those are my three. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, Arbor's mentioning the title cards are kind of off center, but I think that's fine.
Oh,
this is
we're in wireframe.
This is a very basic wireframe, so.
Oh, so off center. There you go. Yeah, these are wireframes. I'm just trying to understand what in the world we're going to be putting in this space. We got organization. Are we going to have the mission statement right above? I do believe I like it there. These are going to maybe act like, yes, we're going to have some hover animations on here.
We can do that now.
Yeah, we can totally do that. We're going to talk a little bit, maybe give some information about sound. Maybe this page will maybe this will be a CTA to go to a page around learning about women's role in the music industry.
Yep.
We'll see. And then maybe a last CTA about how you can be part of the community. Cool. So these right here is where these guys right here where I want to talk. Let's talk about these.
Sure.
So we have these already existing nonprofits, artists, and musicians. Oof. So actually, I'm gonna give a disclaimer. A lot of we had an issue with fonts before this, and that's why a lot of my sizing is off. So chat, be gentle.
Yeah.
So I want to highlight the people that they've already worked with, and again, it also lives as a kind of like a shout out to them. they can always come back and see. It's almost feels like a music festival type vibe. Like who has played with, who has supported this organization in the past, and how can you in the future, right?
Totally.
So
that resonates pretty well when someone's coming onto the page, they see, oh, so and so band they might have heard of, has played with them. Maybe I'm interested in this organization, or maybe I've never heard of this band. I want to check out more. So there's a lot of different directions you can go with that.
Absolutely. Rightio. Okay, so let's head over to here. So we got some ideas going on this page. So what I think would be great if we could have, what I was really liking was the idea of maybe having photos of these bands, maybe of the organizations with the bands playing, and floating over into the side, kind of like overlapping onto each other. Great. And then with a little bit of a band name and with a link attached.
Yep.
Simple. And this is what links over to maybe one of these, right? Okay, that makes sense. How can I do that for artist? Is it going to be the same?
It's a big question you have to ask yourself, because do you want all the web pages to look the same? Do you want it to be repetitive, or do you kind of want to spice things up a little bit?
Exactly.
You want to change the colors on one page so it's like blue is for bands and purple is for artists, or
Exactly. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you want to get into doing that so bad. Like I want to just apply colors immediately.
Yeah.
And I want to make that dream a reality.
Right. But
I can't. I need to work through these gray boxes so that we know what we're doing. So that makes sense. Cool. Music highlights. Right, so this is gonna be artists, maybe music. Maybe let's go with music. Okay, here we go. Got my repeat grid going. I like to ungroup after I repeat grid. Is that weird?
No, sometimes it depends on the situation. If you just want to very quickly create a bunch of the same elements, it's totally fine if you want to ungroup the grid.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do something very similar down here. But maybe we'll throw it on the other side.
Ooh, mixing things up.
And since this is artist, since we're gonna have, this is artist, this is music, artist, this is artist. So we're gonna have a little bit more to do with these guys. So let's use a repeat grid, because there's gonna be more of them, not just these like fun, dreamy vibe type space. It's gonna be probably gonna have a lot more artists here. So we're gonna pull this down. So many times have I seen people in Adobe Live Guest not use repeat grid, and it stresses me out.
I know, there's so many opportunities to use it, and then boop that button.
It's amazing to me.
Yeah. Sam is asking about opening older XD files in a newer version. Yeah, you should be able to. Yesterday I was going through some really old files, and they should open up. You can't go the other way around. So you can't open up a new XD file in an old version of XD, but you can definitely open up old stuff.
Yes. Yeah, you definitely can. That's the thing. Anything through the different Adobe products works out beautifully. Bringing out any asset from Illustrator. What am I doing here? I want to like stylize it just a little bit. Bear with me. Your
orange highlight is throwing me off.
Oh, because they changed my highlights. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It just took me a while to figure out what was going on.
Oh, yeah.
But I forget in system preferences, I think it's in the general section, you can change your highlight color, and it applies it in XD as well.
Artist. Cool. So, okay, so this is kind of what I'm thinking through right now, you guys, and we have plenty of time to kind of think through it together. What am I doing? So for music, you have a band name.
Yep.
And you usually have a website. Should I just keep the link? Yeah, I think I should just keep a link to the website, or should I put up their socials as well? Or is it something that, here's the other thing, scalability that the people who work in Tides are gonna wanna do each time they bring a new band in.
Right.
What is gonna be the easiest thing? So this is the thing about designing for a nonprofit, for a small business, for people who aren't like in charge of their web or their brand. They're not gonna wanna change things constantly. So,
Yeah, for me, I mean, it would make sense because usually artists love the social exposure, right?
they really do.
So it would make sense for me, just thinking things through, to have their little, like this Twitter icon, Instagram icon. But it kind of goes back to what you were talking about. Are they going to continuously update that?
Yeah.
So that's probably a conversation you have to really have with Tides about that. Are they willing to?
Are they willing to?
And Tristan's asking, when is Hover on Adobe XD? Hover is now.
Hover is all
Yeah.
the time.
We have Hover now. Chris
Hover's
Cannon's
right
in the
now.
house, and Alexis will be diving into Hover possibly today, maybe tomorrow.
Oh, we're gonna dive
Possibly
in it right
today, definitely tomorrow. We'll see how things go.
Let's do it right now. Let's do it right now because you know what? I like that. I liked that idea over here that I had with the music and what I want this page to look like.
Yep.
I want to try another one out. I think that's completely fair because I'm in gray boxes and I can. Nothing is set in stone. So what if I did something more like a card situation, right? Let's just group it really quick so we can repeat it. What do we think, like maybe a card? Maybe just an image of band above. Maybe we'll have it scrollable.
Ooh, fancy.
Ooh, kind of, I like it. I like it, I like it.
How many revisions do you typically have when you're designing? Because I know for me, if it's a website or it's a mobile app or whatever it might be, there's just like, I'll create one screen that's kind of in my mind. Then I'll think, you know what? It'd be cool if I did this. Then I do that, and then it's like, maybe what about this? Then it's like 14 different revisions of the same thing.
I try to keep it to, oh God, so many revisions. If you could see my desk right now at work, it's just Post-its everywhere.
Yeah.
Post-its and pencils and drawings of things.
Mm-hmm.
and things falling off of boards because I haven't tacked them up properly.
Of course.
Yeah, so many versions. I think when I finally get into digital, I like to have two. I like to have the very least two ideas so that I can, and I find myself taking them all the way till the end sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm being like, maybe it'll be like this all the way.
Yep.
And then, but the thing is, you have to show it to someone, right? So once it gets shown to someone and once things are in front of people, things change, right? So
absolutely.
let's just, like, if we were to like open this up, say this is a website.
Yep.
Someone's looking at. This feels, like it's fun, it's interesting, you get the gist, it's more utilitarian almost. Maybe if it was floating it'd be fun, but I'm not feeling it as much. This feels a little bit more like the standard setup that we've seen in other sites, kind of cards.
Right.
So I like to take both to the end. Okay, so let's talk about Hover really quick. Because we're gonna talk about Hover tomorrow too.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a lot of Hover.
I love Hover.
I love Hover. I love Hover.
Yep.
We should pull up your UI kit just for fun at some point, just to look at Hover. But
We could.
one of the things that Adobe XD has brought into the beautiful world is Hover. So let's first make this a component, just in case. And over here, component master, default state. So this is gonna be the default state, and what we're gonna be allowed to do now is when we prototype, we can actually hover. First things we have to do is make a hover state.
Yep.
So if we click this, make a hover state, cool, great. So the one thing we have to do here is your hover state has to be different. So that's the other thing, is you gotta make your hover state different. So we're gonna we're gonna make it red. Oh, let's not make it red, too big, too red. There, pale red. It's kind of like a stylized wireframe. Great, so now we have this hover state and we have the default state, right? Cool.
And that is it.
And that's it. Or is it?
Oh, it's it.
Or one more state. It is. That's it. So we go into prototype.
It's already wired up. Look at
Already
that.
wired up.
Fancy.
It's so nice, you guys. What? Great. I don't have to do anything over here.
Nope.
And, easy. So
Wow.
it's one of those things with Hover. It's one of those things where in XD you've wanted to do for so long, and you can totally do without this feature, but it takes so much longer.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that it helps make your interaction, your prototype, feel real. If I were to pull this up, once everything is stylized and branded, it's gonna look like the actual website, which is gonna be great to show to people without actually having to build the website. Oh,
Totally.
so easy. Cool.
So few questions about hover and states and everything. Justin's asking, can one component have two animations of the same kind? So not probably in the sense that you're talking about. You can animate between two different states, but you can't have two animations kind of kick off at the same time. But you can also have certain objects, like two objects within a component that trigger different animations. So you can get pretty deep within components. Of course, states is phase 1 right now. There'll be more triggers, drag trigger, keypad triggers, a lot of different triggers, and of course more functionality coming at some point. Someone's asking, Zombie is asking, can you add easing to the animations? Absolutely. So if you're in prototype mode, you can either do a strict transition, which goes from state 1 to state 2, or you can have auto animate with ease in and out, snap, whatever it might be. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do. But just to kind of bounce off what Alexis was talking about, let me hop over to my computer for a second to kind of talk about why hover took so long, right? And last year we released auto animate, which was fantastic. I love working with auto animate. And we could have introduced hover then. But here's the thing, when you're talking about desktop sized artboards, which is what this is, and that's typically where hover is going to come into play, because hover, you really don't use it on mobile. So you're talking about 1920 by 1080 pixel artboards. Very big stuff. So, you might want to hover over these little cards, right? Well, you would need different hover states, different artboards. Where are those ones? They're over here somewhere. Here.
Right.
So here's one artboard just for that hover state. Here's another artboard for this one, and this one, right? And if you go down the rabbit hole, you might want to fill in these hearts with a state. Here's one for that artboard, or that heart. Here's another one. And you've just got this is insane, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So if we were to have released hover and quote unquote states last year with auto animate, you're looking at something like this. And if you really start breaking this out, it could be triple, quadruple, whatever, these amount of artboards. So the team really wanted to do it right and make sure that states can be triggered on a single artboard and hover can be triggered on a single artboard. So now you've got all these different states all wired up on one single artboard. You don't have to have separate artboards. And now when you play something like this, you can hover over things in no particular order. You can press these little hearts.
What?
You can open this up. You get the idea, right?
Amazing.
And it's all done in one artboard. And then you go really crazy and you have all these different states. You have buttons, volume toggles, hover states, which we're kind of talking about, just like this. Again, all of it's done on one artboard.
I love that expanding folder.
Isn't that cute?
It's so cute. Whoop. Yes.
Little peaks and things like that. And then you can also combine, this may be kind of what Justin was talking about. You can kind of combine hover with animation as well. So you have this download button. So you hover over it, that little icon separates, and then you can tap on it, and then an animation kicks off and does that little thing with masking and things like that. So there's a lot of different things you can do with states and animation, and it's only going to get better. Justin's saying, can you give a quick example of how to apply two drags to the same component? So, right now drag is not enabled on states, but what you would probably do in that situation is you have a component, and let's say you want to drag either left or right. You can't just drag in either direction. You have to kind of define which direction you want to go. But a workaround at the moment is to have two different objects on top of that component. It's a bit of a hack right now. So you have an invisible object on the right and a visible object on the left, and you use those to determine which direction you're going to drag. Again, it's a bit of a workaround, but things might be in the works to help that. So we'll see.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. You guys in the chat, this is your man. Any questions on XD right now?
That's me.
It's him. He is Let's XD. So yeah, what a cool stream. Really excited that you're hosting me.
Yeah, it's fun.
Pretty great.
Yeah.
Great. So
where are we at?
We're at, we're talking about hovers. I wanted to play around with get out of here. I wanted to play around with our landing page a little bit and where some hovers can live in the future. Just because we're talking about it, might as well.
Hover on everything.
Hover on everything. And once it's hovered on, where are we gonna go?
Yeah.
Let's tap. We're in a different page. That's great. So it's it's being able to do more than one thing is really game changing for
Yeah,
this.
and you just highlighted another feature that we shipped in XD24 is the ability to wire up multiple triggers from a single object.
Oh yeah.
So you were able to not only add a hover trigger to those objects, but you can also add a tap trigger that leads to another artboard if you need to.
Easy. Very, very easy, you guys. So I've noticed this when we're in a group and we are doing this is a question for the expert. When we're in a group, I really do need to ungroup these in order for them to go to different locations with the prototype. Because it seems like because these are all individual components that I've created the hover state for.
Right.
But once I put the tap, I really need to ungroup it.
So, so here's what's going on. The first one, if I'm not mistaken, is your master component.
Yes.
So, and the way states work
That's
is that any wire you add to the master component will kind of populate all the other instances, which are the second and third one. So if you, now you can go in and it can actually override the second one. So you can go into the second one and delete the wires that are going elsewhere, and it will not affect the first or third.
Got it.
Yeah, so you can keep the hover if you wanted to, but you can also, select the tap trigger and just delete it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Thank you.
Oh no, the question has come up.
What?
When is dark mode coming?
Oh, man.
I'm not going to get into dark mode.
I don't need to
again.
get into that.
I get into that every single stream. Go to user voice, upvote dark mode, but you'll probably also notice when you're at user voice, there's a lot of items above dark mode that are much higher priority that the team is working on. We'll get to dark mode eventually, but got to really work on some key core features that are part of the design experience. And dark mode will come eventually.
I don't necessarily need dark mode in my life with everything.
Yeah.
With every single thing.
See, it's not a necessity.
It's not a necessity.
Hover's a necessity.
Hover's a necessity. Yeah. Talking about other necessities, we definitely need more animations on how we're gonna kind of flow through prototyping. I think prototyping is the space that's open for opportunities.
We might see some things in
Cool.
2020.
Cool.
On prototyping. Some things I can't talk about.
I think on prototype.
Yes. Osama's asking, are we going to see multiple prompts, speech playback feature with the same artboard and voice prototype? So I'm not fully understanding the question, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, what your question is, you can right now have, Alexis was just adding multiple wires to a single object. You can actually add multiple voice triggers to that object. You can't do speech playback or multiple speech playback, because that requires a time trigger, but that might come in the future.
Exciting. No need for dark mode. I feel like we're causing there's gonna be a rift in the chat.
I know, I
it's
think
just
so.
like dark mode and not dark. It's like, guys.
You just talk about dark mode for 2 hours.
Guys, you want me to pull up some hard hitting facts for you? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be a downer.
Yep.
22% of all performers across the 600 most popular songs 2012, 2017 were female. All right.
That's very low.
It's very low. Okay, and we don't need to worry about dark mode. Let's problem solve some other things.
Yeah.
Was that good?
That was good. Yeah.
Okay.
And I bet 22% of designers actually think they need dark mode.
Yeah.
It's very low. Not necessary.
Jeez. So good. So good. All right, so I'm jumping around. I'm jumping. Okay, so we have options here. So this is kind of what happened. I started as I want these pages to look exactly the same, and now I'm like, wait, there's different options on what I can make these look like.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the wireframe.
Yeah, and I'm sure Tides would appreciate this. If you just give them one wireframe, they'll be like, okay, looks great.
Exactly.
But you really want them, I think it kind of reminds me of one of my streams with Josh Iwata. And he was designing, I forget what it was for, but he basically designed 2 different options. And we asked the chat, which one do you like? And most people said, I like A. I liked A. I think Josh probably liked A. But he went to the client, and the client loved B. Hey, if that's what they like. And they were both beautiful.
Right.
But it was a very different vibe that they were after, and he gave them 2 pretty different options, and they ran with the one that we didn't expect.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. That we need to
know.
we need to remember that the client is a person who is who has preferences, design preferences as well, right? And what point does a designer step in and say, no, I think this is how it should look?
Yeah.
It's a fine line to walk between you as a designer and your client.
Yeah.
And what they think they can do.
Yeah.
But no, let's not worry about clients right now. we're just having fun.
Justin says, clients always right? Question mark, exclamation mark, question mark. That's an interesting question. Because I mean, they're paying for it, right? So ultimately it's probably their decision, but I mean,
Client always has say.
Yeah.
Client should not be forgotten.
Yeah.
Is client always right? If client was always right, would they have maybe needed somebody to do the things you're doing?
Yeah. If they want Comic Sans as the header text, are they right?
Also, I'd ask what I think right is the word there.
Yeah.
Like what is right? What is going to be right? It depends on the client. What they need, maybe they don't know they need.
Yeah.
So
because they're probably not designers. That's why they hired you.
Do you feel like as a designer you turn into a little bit kind of like a therapist for your clients sometimes too?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they have this vision in their mind. Because maybe they've seen it on other places and that's what they want, but they can't really picture it, and it might not be right.
Yeah.
You just need to talk them out of it sometimes.
Or they're like, I see this company, I see this organization as this.
Yeah.
And you're like, but that isn't gonna get you what you need.
Right.
Interesting, heady talks. Okay, so we're almost wrapped with kind of the bare necessities of what we need. Maybe I'll ask the chat in a bit what their preferences is going to be for these kind of individual highlight pages.
Yeah.
But for the meantime, I hop around a lot, you guys. It's kind of what I do.
That's what we do, yeah.
I get inspired by something and I'll start doing it. I like the idea of having an about page highlighting the community members that are going to be working on or who are working for Tides.
Yeah.
So maybe a little blurb about who they are. Got us. And, I mean, gotta love a repeat grid. Here we go.
Who doesn't love a repeat grid? I don't want to be friends with anyone who doesn't like a repeat grid.
I told myself I was gonna use repeat grid as often as I could in the stream.
Nice.
Just to remind people that it exists, because it really does save so much heartache. And it hurts me a little bit when I watch somebody try to like move a square over or circle over, and I feel emotionally. I have an emotional reaction to it, and it's not that I'm annoyed. It's just that I know your process could be easier.
Oh, absolutely.
With this, I think it's the unsung hero.
Yeah, especially when you start adding in photos, you just drag a whole group of stuff and boop, pop it in there.
I actually don't think there's this many people working for them.
Well, there are now.
I got too excited with my repeat grid. Let's just calm down a little bit. How about that? That works too.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll make this a little smaller. Do you ever design do you design like farther away from things, or are you like a close up? When you're like moving things around.
I kind of zoom in and out just to kind of get different perspectives, especially when I'm working on mobile. Because if you're too far in, everything looks kind of large and clickable. But then you zoom out and you realize your button's way too small. It doesn't really fit the guidelines of like 40 pixels or whatever it is.
I notice for sites, I zoom out a lot.
Yeah.
And for mobile, I'm like inside phone, essentially. Which is a good segue into responsive resize, which, let's talk about it. Now, I even myself, using XD, I've had some moments with responsive resize. And it's kind of something we've talked about even off camera, which was, at what point do you resize in a way that can be done easily, like with a tool, like maybe you're using a site that does it automatically for you, or like XD, which has responsive resize, which helps you resize your canvas appropriately without having to really mess with any of your assets. Or at what point do you kind of redesign it yourself?
Yeah.
So these are the things we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to hear what the chats or comments on that are. Do you want to rely on responsive design for your website or your mobile app or whatever it might be? Or do you want to take the approach where it has to be a different experience? Because I think we're seeing that a lot more. It used to be maybe like 5 years ago or so, everything was responsive. You design a website, you set up a bunch of breakpoints, and then things kind of move around. But now you're looking at websites and services. The website and the mobile app are two very different experiences because they're hitting very different people. So sometimes it might be necessary to completely redesign. You can use the same assets and the same components and states and everything, but it might be completely necessary to redesign it from scratch. And responsive resize is great. It'll get you like 80, 90% of the way there. It'll, collapse your repeat grids, it'll expand your repeat grids and that sort of thing, but it really depends on what your end goal is.
Absolutely. And it's also a great starting point, right? So let's do it.
Yeah. Chris is saying, excited to get padding and margins and responsive resizing. I couldn't imagine what Chris is talking about. Although I can. Andrew Shorten, did you see that sneak?
No.
It was, I think, a little bit before Max. He sneaked, I think the working title is Content-Aware Groups.
Oh.
Where if you have like a button as a basic example
Yeah.
and you change the text, the button will resize automatically.
Yes, I've seen that.
Or if you have a group like in the middle there where your mission statement is and you have those images and you can set padding, let's say 42 pixels on each side or 42 pixels on the top and bottom. And as you move your images or content around, that card automatically resizes and restructures itself.
That's great.
Yeah, so that's in the works. It's coming. Can't say when, but it's coming. Yeah. It's been in the works for a while actually. And I was using it the other day. So it's coming. That's all I can say.
I love the sneak peeks. Okay, so let's talk resize. So
Yep.
I think this is going to be good. This is a good learning moment, not just for me, but for everyone in the chat too. What happens when you want to mess around with responsive resize and you never have before, or you think you don't know if you've set it up properly? I think I know what I'm doing wrong here with these guys, but I also know what I'm doing right up top. So what do? Do you panic? So I know there are a lot of designers who are like, probably wouldn't touch responsive resize after this happens.
Right.
They'll be like, oh no, what happened? My things.
Yeah.
Don't panic. Let's
Never
not panic at all.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. So as you see up top, these guys are kind of locked into the center point.
Yep.
Right? And they're doing that because, they're auto doing that. So
yeah. XD notices that it's centered in the document, so it figures, probably want to keep it centered.
Right. So is there a way to resize everything? Let's see.
So for things like that down there, one good best practice is to group those elements.
Yes.
Because you're essentially telling XD that those elements need to remain together. And if that group is centered in the document, XD will kind of notice, move things around. Everything's grouped. Those should stay together.
There you go.
And they should all join, just move over together.
And we're just moving and we're moving and we're here and we're still not in mobile necessarily yet. That's fine. Let's just group all the things really quick. It's one of those things, resizing is so important. Come on. What I said about fonts earlier. Everything is just bigger and smaller and text bucket.
I think you've got your area text covering up that little guy at the bottom.
Do.
Yeah.
Bloop, 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 bloop. Oh, clicking.
It's all part of the design experience.
It really is.
Click, 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 click.
Click, 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 click. Okay, so we're coming in. Hello, giant, enormous component thing. We're about an iPad level at this point. Now we're gonna get CSO. Okay.
It's getting squishy.
It's getting a little squishy.
Yeah.
So okay. I could either go in and adjust all of these manually,
Yep.
or I could take it upon myself to kind of just use it as a guideline. So I'm gonna just use it as a guideline. I don't need it to be perfect right now. What I want is just kind of things to make sense. So here we go. We're designers. We're the ones that put this here in the first place. There we go.
Justin's asking, is it easier to go from mobile to web? or web to mobile? What's been your experience?
Oh, well, in this case, it'd be almost easier to go like mobile to web. But I think web to mobile traditionally has kind of been the case of it's easier.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how it started. Things were online, and then we got a phone.
Right.
That had like a smaller screen, so they had to adjust. I think it poses a very interesting challenge because these are going to be living not as apps. These are web landing pages that you're going to pull up when you hit a link. And those act very differently than an app. An app would. They're going to behave. The buttons are going to be, button behaviors are going to be different. They're just going to be different. So I think they both pose very interesting challenges. What do you think, Howard?
I think it depends on what you're designing for. You should definitely focus on, where your audience is. I know a lot of websites these days, they're seeing mobile traffic explode. They're just seeing like 70, 80% mobile traffic, and then 20 or 30% desktop traffic. And if that's the case, then you want to design for mobile first, and then maybe expand into website. But it's difficult to answer because it's a little bit easier these days because you can use the same components, use your same assets, and just kind of rearrange things. But it's going to depend on the situation.
Really, really is. So, yeah, it's so true. I think so many things are starting now as apps instead of sites. And it's interesting to see how the industry has evolved in that way. I think it's interesting watching other designers work on resizing to mobile experiences. But I do believe it's a hidden art. It's a hidden art to kind of get your mobile experience from a web or from a browser, a large browser, into something that's good.
Oh, absolutely.
It's kind of this like lost thing because everyone's like, we'll turn it into an app.
Oh, sure.
We'll turn it into an app. It's like, how often are you going to open up that app like for I have not a good example in my head right now, but for that nonprofit group that you want to donate to.
Right, almost never.
I think a lot of the time, I think for this case, I would know designers that would be like, well, just make it an app. Make it behave like an app. Have it sit on one screen. Like, why is it scrolling? Like, you're like, well, it's not an app.
Right, no.
And that's not going to be something that's a whole nother branch of product, is getting someone to download an app and then use an app. And that's great if you can.
Unless there's an incentive to download that app.
Huge incentive.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, yeah. I have a great example. Music festivals. This is kind of the same. Music festivals, they happen not that often, so you don't need their app as often.
Right.
But you need their web landing page on mobile to work well. Because for the most part, that's where people are going to, if they don't have the app, look to buy tickets, look for artists that are showing up, look for maps that they need of the of venues. So that's one example.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
And Marissa's saying a lot of companies waste a lot of money to make an app that no one wants. It's true.
Marissa, you're speaking my language. Yes, girl. Yes.
Because everyone thinks they need an app, right? The App Store came out in 2008, 2009, something like that. And everyone's like, I need an app. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
No.
The first thing they teach you, or that I feel like I took from art school or design school, was, are you sure you need that?
Yeah.
Like, the biggest critique we'd get on projects, we'd be like, oh, I'm gonna work all night on this project. I'm gonna make everything look beautiful. Everything's gonna be spaced. All the fonts are gonna work perfectly. And then somebody you're sleep deprived and you go to your critique and you show up and you put them up on the wall and they're beautiful and people go, do we need an app that delivers, meat products to my door? Like, no, like, oh, but I thought this would be a good opportunity. Like, but are people going to use that?
No.
No. And so you've just spent all this time and all this energy. The thing is, companies are willing to do it still.
Yeah.
But
very quickly, Nelson's asking about color management in XD. The colors on the XD canvas look different, more saturated than the results in the browser. I believe that's because XD is using your monitors or your displays color profile. So if it's like sRGB or whatever it might be, it's using that for design, which it might be different in your browser. That being said, the team is definitely looking into better color management for XD. I don't have a time frame on that or any other information, but yeah, it's something that we're actively looking into.
That's a really, really great question and great observation, actually.
Yeah, because color is important.
Color's huge. Color's everything, especially when you're delivering something to a client, delivering anything to a client.
Yep.
What you see isn't always what you get.
Indeed.
Always remember where you're at with that. You know what's funny? Is that I'm looking up at the screen to design instead of the screen to design.
I know, it's interesting because we have a big screen in front of us. It's a lot bigger than the one Alexis is using.
Yeah.
But speaking of colors, you're noticing the colors a little bit. I mean, it might be difficult to see with the gray and the gray.
Yeah.
But certain colors look different on that monitor than this one, which kind of
do.
goes back to the color profile thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it goes into where you're designing for a mobile. So what type of what's your phone gonna look like? What is your
Right.
user's phone gonna look like? What are they on dark mode? You know?
Yep.
For crying out loud. There's so many variables here. Okay.
And are you going to print some of this stuff? That's a whole other conversation.
Oh man. That is a beautiful conversation, but a conversation.
Yeah. Maybe we
Man,
can
people
tackle
in
that
print,
tomorrow.
people in print, man, you guys are still printing things, illustrators, you guys are the best. I don't know how you guys handle the stress of printing and getting your colors perfect, and it's also a lot of money to do that as an art.
I think it's a bit easier these days with higher quality printers that don't necessarily need to be in CMYK. They have some printers that can pull out RGB colors, but still there's a lot you have to think about.
So many.
Yeah.
Okay, so I took the route of this music. Again, all this copy isn't going to live forever as this copy.
Yep.
Actually, there's a person with, so you got to find people in the organizations that are willing to help you with copy. Like, you're the designer, not the copywriter. Remember that. Mm-hmm. Because I would never ship this, organization
Right,
name,
of course.
or, sound matters or music or number. I would never ship that. I would probably sit and try to figure out what words need to be there as well.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the big benefits of co-editing. A lot of people think co-editing, everyone's going to be designing on the same artboard or designing different, experiences. But many times you just might want someone to jump in here and make some copy edits.
Yeah, that's going to be really great when we can get a copywriter up on XD, and that's going to be actually really easy access point for a lot of people who are in writing and who maybe have never understood UX writing and how they can do that as writers, as people who write. Usually writers are in a doc, and then at least for me, when we would go over copy for different apps, we'd have somebody writing in a doc like what they needed to say, and then we just access that doc and put it in. But Adobe products are pretty well understood by a lot of people and easily accessible. So getting someone in who's not a designer but can easily edit, that's the glory of collaboration in XD as well.
Totally. And we have about 9 minutes left until we're going to take a look at some challenges. So if you haven't yet, you have 9 minutes to work on today's challenge, which I believe is to create a payment experience using XD. So hit that challenge tab up there to get all the information.
Nice. Nice. Okay. Alrighty. So you guys, it's going great. We're doing it. We have some samples of what we want these highlighted pages to be like. And that's great. I think I'm gonna go, you know what? These are gonna look different from each other. I've decided right here and right now as the designer.
There you go.
I like it. I kind of like this weird approach. I think artists maybe we can do a thing like this. Okay, great. So here we go.
Too. I'm not a big fan of when I go to a website and every single page looks identical.
I hate that.
It bothers me a little bit. Of course, sometimes it has to.
Sometimes it has to.
But if you're doing like a creative, especially with artists and music and things like that, you kind of want to give each one a little bit of a different vibe. And that's kind of where those illustrations can come in. Each page can have a different illustration if you wanted to, and each one has different colors, and you just gotta make it your own.
So excited. Oh, I'm so excited to make these a thing. We got some great assets. For anyone who's just joining the chat, I know I just pulled a host thing. Anyone who's just joining the chat,
Run with it.
I'm working on a basically this project is designing for nonprofits and charitable organizations. So it's for designing for somebody or an organization that has a following, has assets, has information, and how are you as the designer reorganizing that for them to create maybe a better experience. So we're working with this organization called Tides, and these are some of their fun assets that we have available. We have these beautiful photographs taken by a photographer. I believe her name is Emily Seven. She's a part of Tides as well, and she takes some really great photographs. These are some examples of the event itself of Tides in action. This is the website that already exists. Obviously, they just needed something, like anything, and that's okay. So we're here to make it better.
Yep.
They also have an Instagram presence, and we're going to be working with some dope illustrations.
I love these.
Oh, you guys, link Sarah's work in the chat if you can, because she's an amazing illustrator. And
we need to get her on Adobe Live.
I would love that, because she has some beautiful women-inspired images. These she's made specifically for Tides, but all of her work is beautiful.
You should talk to Sam and intro her. Do it.
Oh yeah, I'm down. I am down, and I probably will. Sam, if you're listening, I have an illustrator for you. Cool. Great. And again, we're with our Tides site. You know, we needed something really, nothing too complicated. Really, we're just trying to figure out how we're going to reorganize what already exists for them. So we're going with an organization, kind of a splash image. I was also thinking of maybe doing like you know, when you land on sites and you're not directly in the site yet, you're kind of like, you're really on like a splash page.
Right.
I was thinking about doing something fun with like words and women. So maybe I'll just mock that really quick up.
Do it.
And then we'll get into more of the colors and the fun stuff tomorrow. I know the first day of the stream with XD is always boxes, but
you know what? It's all part of the process.
It's okay.
We don't just wake up and design things that look amazing and make sense.
And it's not, and it's just not real. This is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what if it was like words, something, what if like we did something with hover or that like changed and like revolved as the words when you first enter onto the site. I think that might be fun. So like
That could be interesting.
Yeah, so we're just gonna mock up the idea of what I'm thinking of right now.
All right. This is where it all starts. It just starts with a very simple idea.
Oh, really, Phil? Phil. My best friend Phil. Text Phil. There we go. Oh, hang on, what happens?
Michael says, whoa, you've been busy. How do you work out your content?
Slowly.
Slowly.
Slowly. You know, a lot of the times when you feel overwhelmed as a designer, or when I feel overwhelmed as a designer, something that grounds me, because this stuff can get overwhelming. Right now, it's pretty simple. We only have a couple screens, nothing too crazy, but it's because we're not building anything. We're not doing a mobile app. We're doing a landing page that has very simple calls to action. So luckily, we're not looking at 10, 20 of the same screen.
Right.
It's actually kind of pretty dynamic. But when it gets overwhelming, something I do is I go back and I look at my research. I always look at my research. I look at who I'm building this for. I'm looking if my goals are aligning. Like, okay, am I making this accessible to their community? They're growing in popularity. So, okay, so how can we access these artists early on and easily and have a good time? How can it also be fun? You know, when it gets to, for this project specifically, when it started to get too like serious, I was like, that's not the ethos of this organization. This is not the ethos of this project.
Yep.
So, where are all the, and then maybe we have like words that like change, you know what I mean? Where are all the
I think I know what you mean.
badass ladies, badass women at? Where are all the badass women? Or something, something like that. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a, so this is a mock-up of theoretically what this experience could look like. Like maybe this shuffles down, right? Like, so we're gonna explore this tomorrow for sure. And maybe I'll do it give it a little more of a zhuzh of an idea, as an idea state.
Yeah.
And maybe you click in, maybe Tides is the answer to this question, and maybe that's what brings you into this landing page. That sounds kind of fun.
That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Zombie's asking, how will you present your work to the client? Do you send them a link to the prototype?
Yeah, that's going to be.
Oh, look, Emily's here. That's a
Emily's
photographer,
That's
right?
the photographer. Hello, Emily.
Hey.
It's good to see you. How will I present? Right. Great question. Great question. Yes, I will probably send. What's great with XD, I can send directly to anyone with a link. So we'll probably do that first. Because this organization has given me a lot of trust, I'll probably create the site. And because it's so easy, I will probably get a lot of feedback on that and do the rigmarole, the design rigmarole, go back and forth for a little bit. I think it's effective to have, I think for nonprofits specifically, for organizations that don't have a lot of funding, they don't have a lot of like wherewithal to do a lot of the things for them. I think it makes you an asset to them because they're like, we have so many other things to do.
Right.
None of us are designers designing our landing page.
They're trying to
None of
change
us
the world.
They're trying to organize people, organize space, find nonprofits to work with, do all these things. And so they're entrusting you to kind of fulfill this role for them. So I'll probably build it out after maybe showing maybe one or two of them, maybe some founding members, what they think. They'll probably give me a green light, maybe a couple notes, and then I'll build it. But in terms of other work, so like client work, on the flip side that you have a lot of time and energy, man, a good presentation with moving prototypes sells.
Can't beat that. I mean, Tim's saying a client who demanded artboards as printouts. That's
where?
That's old school.
That's old school. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, put them up on the wall. My favorite phrase in art school. Throw it up on the wall.
Yeah.
Print it out. Throw it on the wall. Walk away from it. Poke at it. Draw on it. It's a favorite thing.
Yeah, but XD is kind of cool because you can send, there's a new share tab at the top. You can send things for review. You can send things for development. Your clients can comment on your prototypes. They can click through them. They can see all the information that's necessary.
Yep.
And it's a good time. Now, Arbor's asking about video playback via scroll. Any chance this is coming to? So that's a major request. So I think the main thing in there is video playback. I know video playback and GIF support is something the team's fairly actively looking into. It's difficult because they want to make sure that if they do deliver that in XD, that performance is not going to take a hit. You know, XD is known for very fast, very responsive performance. And whenever you get videos, especially if they're large videos involved, it could take a hit.
Yeah.
Especially if they're auto-playing. Even if they're not auto-playing, it's embedded somewhere. If it's embedded somewhere, there could be security risks that the team has to really focus on. So there's a lot to think about there. So something they're thinking about, but I don't know. Don't know when that's coming.
Howard doesn't have all the answers, you guys. He's just trying to get through his days as a XD evangelist.
And if I do,
about that.
yeah,
evangelist. Where'd that word come from? I
have no
love
idea.
it.
Adobe's been using the evangelist title for quite a while.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, I think Terry White's probably the oldest evangelist, not in terms of age,
it sounds so regal.
He's been with Adobe for like 20 some odd years. It's crazy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But anyways, we're just about at the time where we're going to give some feedback. So we're going to hop over to my computer and we're going to dive into feedback. So it looks like most of the challenges are from yesterday's daily challenge, which was to create a pet adoption experience, which is always fun. So let's dive into some of these and we're just going to kind of go through
adoption?
these. Yeah.
Do you have a dog or a cat?
I do. I have a little Yorkie. His name is Dexter. And he's probably missing me right now. What about you?
No dogs.
No?
I had a cat when I was young, in like college age, and he was black with white paws.
Oh.
And we called him Bruce because he looked like Batman.
Oh, nice.
His name was Bruce Wayne.
Bruce. I like it.
Oh, I can't wait to see these.
All right, let's see. Here we go. Let's make this full screen so we can see what we're dealing with. I like how the masks kind of change.
Yeah. Oh, pets near you. It's like a pet Tinder.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, these photos.
They're so cute.
Sheesh.
So I would, I'm assuming this might be in somewhat like a mock-up wireframe phase, possibly. There's a few bits of feedback I'd probably give immediately. The colors, I would go, they're definitely not typical colors. I like, the dogs are super cute. The buttons are great. I would go for more of a solid color down at the bottom. Not that this isn't solid, but more of a, a true color. Maybe for the navigation bar, either white, black, maybe a dark blue, something like that if you want a little bit of color. And then the icons, either, white. If the navigation bar is black, go for white, that sort of thing. This area here, it's always good to have a lot of information on the pet, but especially if you're talking about a mobile screen, it's very small. It's difficult to read. So blow that information up. If you have to separate things amongst different artboards, or just put the vital information that's necessary.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the animations are nice though.
I agree, because you kind of get lost in seeing I didn't even see the dot button until like towards the end of while you were talking. I was like, oh, there it is. That blue definitely gets hidden.
Yeah.
Were we designing for Android?
Oh, it looks like it might be Android.
Colors, blow up that font.
Super
It's
cute.
a very sweet color palette, though. I can see what you're going for. It's very like loving and kind of warm and fun, but maybe picking one, blue and purple and a lighter blue. Those are all kind of they're very similar tones to each other.
Yeah.
So maybe playing with just one of them might help with that.
So this one is from Elisa. Let's see. It's definitely on the cleaner side.
Yeah.
Oh, that cat.
Oh. It kind of reminds me of like Airbnb.
Yeah. Oh, look at that little heart, probably with states.
Nice. That was great. Just with this new release, because I've been hosting for at least the past month, and so we didn't have hover on some of the creative challenges, for most of all the creative challenges, and I can see a major improvement.
Oh yeah.
In the submitted work, even with just these two.
Yeah, because I think a lot of it was I'm just noticing there's a little bit of an alignment issue. Navigation's a bit lower than map and favorites, but anyways, I think a lot of it was for things like that heart. Designers probably, this one here, designers probably didn't want to go through the process of creating a whole other artboard just for a little heart. But now they can all do it within a single artboard, so they're a little bit more motivated, and their canvas is a little bit cleaner. But
it's faster,
yeah,
because these creative challenges happen within like a day.
Totally.
It really adds a lot to your designs, designers.
Yeah, and I love this design. It's super minimalistic. It's super clean. The only feedback I would have right now is, again, the alignment on navigation at the bottom. Make sure all of those are kind of, even. You can use the distribution options. And also this button here, the text and the little envelope icon, they're not centered. But, little things that can very easily be fixed.
Yeah.
But it's really nice.
I love that, the simplicity of those cards for these individual pets. Very clean. Would adopt.
Definitely.
Would adopt.
Oh, we've got a little bit of a landing page going on. About the challenge, colors.
Or is that the starter file?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, great. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Oh.
Cute.
Get a little. Oh, here we go.
Uh-huh.
Here we go.
Oh, wait, let me full screen this.
Boop. Dogs, cats. Okay.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh, wow, okay. So that entire thing expanded. And all right.
It's all for a heart, a share, and information. More information about each dog.
Yeah.
There's a couple of different times where I think the information might be information tab. Like there's an information I, and then there's a ... An actual like learn more, read more. I'm interested in knowing. Okay, I get it. I just thought it was like for the same information. I was like, you have two different paths to that same information? No.
Right.
I love the cards up top. I love how you've organized this page. We have events and then the actual categories below. I love that. The one thing I would say that I think is kind of, I don't know if you need it, these icons next to dogs and cats.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you need it. They're cute, but there's a dog right below that's like a real dog that's cute.
Yeah.
So maybe when there's a lot of images, do you lean on iconography? You know?
I probably wouldn't in this case.
I feel like the images trump any iconography that you have, and keeping it as simple as you can is only going to help.
Yeah. I would probably also say these little dots here, you probably can't see them very well on the monitor up there, but there's very subtle white dots. I would either get rid of the dots completely because it should be pretty obvious that you can swipe through these, or just create them as little gray dots instead because they're very difficult to see. So this one's obviously active, and just maybe take that one and drop the opacity on the other ones.
Yeah. The other thing that's kind of bothering me, okay, it's because I can't see it. These cards blend so well into like the background.
Yeah.
So now that I can see them, yeah, great design.
Yeah. And I just love when they all kind of expanded.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Good job.
Nice.
All right, let's see, what do we have next? We've got Marissa, who I think was in the chat, Marissa Anderson. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Marissa, if you're still here, let us know.
Hi, my name is Pizza.
I want a dog named Pizza.
Oh, man.
Maybe I just want pizza.
I think I want pizza. Yeah. I love pizza. I mean, that's a really cute little dog. Holy moly.
I know.
It's one thing you can't... Having pets in San Francisco, where we are right now, where I live, is very hard.
Yeah, I've heard. So this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the first example that had way too much information on a single card. But this one I think does it, Marissa's done it right. She has a little bit of, a name at the top. She's customized it so it's a little bit fun. Hi, my name is Pizza. A little, the icon of whether it's male or female, and then just, the necessary information, age, weight, color, description, that sort of thing. And I think that's really all you need.
That's all you need for these. That's great.
Yeah, I think this looks really nice.
I like this Explore tab at the bottom here. Like it's almost like the search bar's at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, I would love to see what happens when you click on that.
Yeah.
Or, well, yeah, I was gonna say if you hover over, but there's no hover on mobile. Doesn't make sense. Nice. And there she is. Hey, Marissa.
Hey, Marissa.
All right, this one is from Syri. I'm terrible with names. Do you know what name has been? Cyrena?
Cyrena.
I apologize. I'm the worst.
It's hard. I have a hard time with names as well. Oh.
Ooh, they get bigger as you scroll. Nice.
Rico. I like the scroll effect for sure. Well, we got a heart.
Ooh. Fancy.
That was great. Adopter.
So the few things that are sticking out to me on first glance are this navigation bar at the bottom. Let me play this so you can see it when that play bar goes away. The rounded corners at the very bottom, not necessary. You can probably keep the rounded corners at the top if you want to get a little bit fun, but just unround those corners, make them nice and flush with the display.
Yeah.
This little guy
down
over
at
here.
the bottom, yeah.
Yeah, this is either shrink the top down as well, so it's kind of floating in that container, or just straighten those out. And then just kind of really focus on some of your padding, right? So you have probably, 40 pixels here and maybe 20 here. Make sure everything's kind of even so it's in the center of that container. Little things that can be fixed pretty easily.
I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even at the top, you can see the nos pensar. So is this in French? This is in French. Nos pensar. Anyways, you're kind of leaning a little bit far to the left. It's almost kind of coming off the screen a little bit, so maybe pulling that in. So I agree, spacing.
Sweet.
That's cool.
And let's take a look at maybe one or two more.
Yeah.
Pause this. This is from another name I probably can't pronounce. Lemonas, properly, maybe. Urgent.
Urgent.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Oh, see, that
I like that.
totally pulls on my heartstrings.
Because there's
there.
a lot of animal shelters that
Yes.
are basically kill shelters. That
Yes.
the pets are there for just a few days, and if they're not adopted, it doesn't end well. And I think a section like this to really let people know that these are in urgent need of adoption is a nice idea.
I really love that.
Yeah.
I really love that idea. It's something different. It's bringing a sense of urgency, literally,
Yeah.
to something that needs it. That is awesome.
And I think the design is really nice on
I
this.
do like that. I do. Now, here's a good example of icons working harmoniously with images.
Yeah.
I really like the top iconography. It's all similar line weights, similar styles.
Yep. Colors are
great.
great.
Right? Using one specific color, pink, like your shoes.
Yeah. Is that a cue?
Howard's wearing very pink shoes, and they're very
I
cool.
am. I think I'm too old to actually get my leg up here.
I'm
I
not
tried
gonna
that
ask you
once,
to do that. I'm not going to ask you to do that.
and it didn't work out well. I was in pain for like 4 weeks.
Oh my God. Yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah, but this is really cool. I would love to see this on a Behance case study and just really go into details about colors, and I mean I would like to see that on all of them. But boop the snoot. Okay, Jack, you've got me. It says boop. Here we go. Boop the snoot. App for adopting pets. I love Jack. Jack was on Adobe Live. Did you see that
I don't think I
stream?
did, no.
She designed a donut application. But she's really known for building out these amazing case studies on Behance. That's kind of how we found her. Colors, artboards.
Artboards.
The server or network failed. Oh no, we can't view her prototype.
That's hard.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Fancy.
nice. Mmm.
Wow, there you go. All right, you can swipe these around.
Look at that.
What else can you do on this artboard? Okay, just that.
Just swiping him. Keep swiping. We haven't found our
Look
dog
how
yet.
cute he is.
Oh,
Oh.
you did you double tap?
Just single tap. But you can single tap again to undo the cart. That's a
That's
good
cool.
use of states.
That's cool.
All right, so she's also got a drag back if you wanted to. Nice. All right.
Love that.
Oh, I see, there's a scroll. What I would probably say is try to get all this information on one, because I didn't know initially you had to scroll down to see more. So try if you can to squeeze everything onto one artboard
Yeah.
or one, above the viewport.
That's the hard part about these. This the way they're sharing, where you share
Yeah.
these projects. A lot of the time that happens.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Another Tinder for dogs. Find your
I'll
furry
do
friend.
one more. This is,
Hi, Joanne. Joanne's in the chat.
hey Joanne. This is from Shira. Adobe. So cute. Bunnies too.
Okay.
Or is that a cat named Bunny?
It's a cat named Bunny.
Oh boy, okay.
That's a cat named Howard's mind. Howard's not okay, you guys.
No, I don't know what I'm doing.
Dobby. Okay. A little bit of a little kind of call out to this interesting little card swipe.
Yeah.
Scroll down. How do you feel about that? When there's two interaction modes, like swiping to the right, to the left, and to scroll down, I feel like they're very conflicting at
Yeah,
times.
it's a bit much. I would rather see a click into a card, or I guess a tap into a card for more information. I get what they're trying to do is like highlight the pets and then you can swipe over to see more information without cramming too much, but it's not a conventional way of navigating around a mobile app. I mean, maybe it could be in the future, but yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Organizing information is a very difficult thing to do,
Yeah.
which is kind of our main job. One way to start is to kind of, again, going back and saying, what essentially do I want to be known about this little creature, this animal, this thing I'm trying to sell? It'll help.
So Joanne's saying that she notices a male tab at the top but no female tab. So that brings up an interesting UX question.
Interesting.
Is that a are those the only categories that you can click into, or are those kind of like drop downs where you click on male and then it shows you the different options, female or unknown or whatever it might be? It's not really clear. Like it could totally be what Joanne's thinking is you click on cats and you see cats. You click on male, you see male animals.
Maybe.
Or is it you click on male, then you have the option of switching, right?
Yeah. Filters, are these established filters already that we've selected in maybe another screen we didn't see?
Yeah.
Cats, male, all ages. It feels like we've selected these.
Right. That's what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
but it's not very clear.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Cool. All right, so that'll be it for today. I think tomorrow we're going to take a look at some more, possibly. Or is tomorrow portfolio reviews? I don't remember. It's something tomorrow. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But let's hop back over to Alexis' screen, and we got about 10 minutes, maybe 8 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Wrap things up.
Let's wrap.
Yeah.
Let's do a wrap. Let's just like hobble these together real quick for fun.
I like that terminology.
Hobble?
Yeah, hobble these together.
Right? It's important.
Yeah.
Let us bring this one over here. Okay. So we have some cool ideas that we're gonna bring back tomorrow and get really cool with. Right now, this is a kind of like our landing page idea. We want to do some type of fun interaction. Maybe we're going to do an animation here that toggles through a question, and maybe Tides, the organization we're working with, is the answer.
Yeah.
So let's click through to get to their site. We have essentially what you need to know immediately. Their name, mission statement, and a CTA, which is still TBD. We're going to talk tonight. As well as the mission statement comes down here. One or the other. We have some fun hover states that we're going to play with tomorrow that are going to click through to these individual pages, kind of highlighting each of these different sections of the nonprofit, of the organization. Click through, oh, here's some artists. Here's some artists that we featured. Here's a link to their work. Maybe we're going to have some social links.
Totally.
And we had some different options with those. So, yeah, so we have option A, option B, and option... Come on.
See us somewhere.
See us somewhere
It's
in there, but it's there, and I can just zoom in. Why don't I just do that, Alexis? Right. Some different options of what we want these pages to look like, and feel like, and play like, and interact like. Like maybe these toggle across. We're going to get into that tomorrow. And applying is going to be very, very easy because all of our colors are already essentially here.
Right.
Plus or minus this green. I don't know how this green got in there. Regardless.
Maybe it's a sign. Just use it.
It's a sign, yeah. We have some green. Our colors are in. Our fonts we're going to use are already in. It's something that we've already kind of gone through. I can give you a sneak peek on branding and how we got there. And that's tomorrow, you guys. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'll just open this screen real quick.
I love the second day. I mean, I love the first day too, but the second day is really where all the nitty-gritty and some would consider it boring work kind of really starts to flourish and come to life. Because, we as designers, we all go through the mock-ups and the wireframes and staring at gray boxes.
And it's important to us, right? Like when we're doing it, we're like, this is so important. It totally is. But then it's hard for anyone else to watch who's not like in it with you.
I know.
Right?
But I think they do appreciate it because that's what they go through.
Absolutely.
And they like seeing the ideas and how things kind of get to the end stage.
I just want to be real. We just want to be real with you guys. That's it. We just want to make it better.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, branding, we're going to collab. We're going to try to do a little more collaboration.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to prototype. That's going to be fun. It's one of my favorite things to do, period. And then we're going to kind of present this a little bit. We're going to do a little bit of a use case situation. We'll see. So I'm excited.
Totally.
Wow. That went by faster than I thought it would.
We still have about 5 minutes left. If you want to like touch something up or
yes, absolutely.
Maybe make a few more options in 5 minutes.
I could. How about I go into really quick kind of like where I started with the branding. So again, we got very lucky in that Tides already has some work, but some preliminary work that I got to do without that is I went through different other websites that I felt like were very similar to Tides in that way, to this organization. I looked at their, kind of like what their aesthetics was, what they were working with. This is kind of like a single page landing page. This is the wing, you know, very women-inspired and empowering. Luckily, a lot of the branding from Tides kind of already matches.
Yeah.
But here's the fun part. I used a plugin to do all this work for me.
Really?
Yeah. I use this plugin. Joanne Lee actually is the one that introduced me to it. It's called, get back. It's called Mimic.
Mimic.
So I took this website, the wing, and I plugged it in to this, just right here. I just put it right in. And what it did is it spat out font names, colors, images for me to look at, for me to kind of get inspired by. And I did that with another website. This one's called Yona Cares. It's like, yeah, it's a great website. It's all around like women's health.
Nice.
What made me choose those websites? I thought they were they were all surrounding the same idea as Tides. Women empowerment, what's on trend for this topic also. A lot of these websites are kind of touching upon that. And also have the same kind of ethos and branding that we already kind of see in Tides. Here we go. So that's why I found those. It's another sneak peek until tomorrow. It's gonna be great. Message me if you have any questions on Twitter.
Yeah,
I'd love
totally.
to hear I'm open to any type of feedback and collaboration moments.
Yep. And I'm sure you're going to be talking with Tides about CTAs and things like that.
Yep.
But if anyone has ideas for header images, ideas for those animations on the splash screen, come tomorrow prepared.
Yes.
So we want all your feedback.
All the feedback. We're all in this together.
Indeed. Any last parting words?
Oh, be excellent to each other.
I like that.
Awesome.
Indeed. All right, we'll see you all tomorrow, and that'll be it.
Awesome. Bye,
Sweet.
guys.